Hello everyone, fantastic nerds here, let's nerd out. Everyone seems to like X-Men First Class, some even think it's the best X-Men movie of them all. They're wrong, but that's a story for another day. But before X-Men First Class, there was another movie in the works, a movie now buried in the grave of scrapped superhero movies, X-Men Origins Magneto. But first, a little history. After the success of the first two X-Men movies, Fox wanted to start a new series called X-Men Origins, where we would see the backstories of all our favorite mutants. And with the backstories some of these guys have, it's no wonder Fox wanted to make those movies. Plus, it makes lots of money. That's important. The first movie was, of course, going to be a Wolverine film. After all, he was the most popular character from the comics and movies. Originally it was going to be written by longtime comic book fan David Benioff, who wanted the film to have an R rating to fit the popular comic storyline. That sounds amazing, but Fox decided to be Fox and hired some spineless writers, who did whatever producers told them to do, to rewrite the script. Which is a shame because even though Gavin Hood wasn't a massive comic fan, he did seem to get the character of Wolverine and it looked like he wanted to make a great movie, but Fox got in the way, as they tend to do. Cough, fan four-stick, cough. And the movie they made was just so great that they knew they could never top it and never even tried, scrapping any ideas for another origin movie. Except for one, instead turning it into X-Men First Class, and that movie was X-Men Origins Magneto. So let's talk about it. In 2004, screenwriter Sheldon Turner was chosen to draft a spin-off X-Men film, and the character he picked was Magneto. He pitched it as, The Pianist Meets X-Men. According to Turner, the script he penned was set from 1939 to 1955, following Magneto trying to survive in Auschwitz. He meets Xavier, a young soldier, during the liberation of the camp. He hunts down the Nazi war criminals who tortured him, and this lust for vengeance turns him and Xavier into enemies. In April 2007, David S. Goyer was hired to direct, the same man behind such hits as Ghost Rider, Blade 3, and Nick Fury, Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. As you can see, we really had a gold mine of quality on our hands. Ian McKellen would return as old Magneto, but would only appear at the beginning and end, as most of it would take place in flashback segments. Instead of Gandalf, young Magneto would either be Obi-Wan Kenobi or Edward Cullen. It wasn't decided when they were developing it. Personally, I would have voted for Robert Pattinson, but hey, maybe I have a bias against awesome hair. They had planned to film in Australia and release it in 2009, but production was halted for the infamous writers' strike of 2008, the same strike that ruined the second Transformers movie. As producer Simon Kinberg read the comic series X-Men First Class, he suggested Studio 20th Century Fox to adapt it. Kinberg, however, did not want to follow the comic too much, as he felt it was not fresh enough in terms of storytelling, considering them too similar to Twilight and John Hughes movies, and also because the producers wanted an adaptation that would introduce new characters. Schuler Donner has even stated that First Class would be greenlighted depending on the success of Origins Magneto. In 2008, Josh Schwartz was hired to write the screenplay, while declining the possibility of directing X-Men First Class. Slowly, X-Men First Class began to take over Origins Magneto, until the project was dropped as Ian McKellen wouldn't do it because of his age, and both Donner and Bryan Singer stated that Magneto would not be produced as the plot of X-Men First Class superseded the story of the planned film. A lot of rumors surrounded the movie, like how Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch might make an appearance. I actually found a really good fan script online while researching for this video. I'll link it in the description, and here are some bullet points that I found interesting. Eric and Charles buy a plot of land to build the X-Mansion on. Senator Kelly is present as a young congressman in the mid-1950s. Two of the young mutants rescued from the lab are described similarly to Sabretooth and Mystique, which doesn't make sense because Sabretooth fought in World War II, but maybe he was a prisoner of war, and Eric makes his helmet himself towards the end. The script is dark, which is appropriate considering we are dealing with Nazis and the Holocaust. Honestly, it seems like the movie would have been great, but because of the numerous X-Men projects they wanted to make, like a second Wolverine movie, a Deadpool movie, and X-Men First Class, it was pushed to the bottom and eventually just completely dropped. That might be for the best though, because when your director is the same man behind Ghost Rider and Blade 3, you're really walking on thin ice. But now Disney owns the X-Men, so this movie has no chance of seeing the light of day. And that is all the information I could find on X-Men Origins Magneto. I hoped you enjoyed the video. If you did, then leave a like. If you want more content like this, then subscribe, and if there's anything that you want me to talk about, then be sure to leave it the comments below. Before I go, I need to ask, where were you guys yesterday with my Guardians video? Were you not interested in that movie? Seriously, because I spent 5 days editing that video, I just feel like I deserved a little more than 3 views for having to watch that movie. I still like you all, don't worry. Nerd out.